It is sitting in a drawer in your house right now. You know its name, Phillips screwdriver. But if someone asked you who Phillips was and why his name is stamped on one of the most used tools in the world, the answer would not come, because nobody ever told this story. And it connects a factory in Detroit, a businessman from Portland, and World War II to a screw you are going to drive this week. Detroit, 1930. American assembly lines had a silent and costly problem. The common flathead screwdriver slipped. The worker set the tool in the screw, applied force, and the blade jumped out of the slot. The screw got scratched. The part got damaged. Multiplied across thousands of workers in hundreds of factories, the cost was enormous. The industry needed a drive that would center itself in the screw on its own, without depending on the precision of every human hand. It was ready to pay for that. It just needed someone capable of creating it. The name that solved that problem is not Phillips. It is Thompson. John P. Thompson developed the cruciform drive in the early 1930s. That cross you recognize on the head of every Phillips screw you have ever used in your life. Thompson patented the design and tried to sell the idea to major American manufacturers. He was rejected. That is when Henry F. Phillips entered the picture, a businessman from Portland, Oregon, with no engineering background and no history of inventions. Phillips bought the rights to the design, refined the manufacturing details, and founded the Phillips Screw Company. And then he did what Thompson had not been able to do. He convinced the industry. In 1936, General Motors adopted the Phillips screw across its entire production line. Other American manufacturers saw the results and followed. But the definitive leap came from World War II. The United States became the largest military equipment factory in modern history. Fighter planes, rifles, armored vehicles, and warships needed screws in quantities the imagination can barely grasp. The American government licensed the Phillips design to every defense manufacturer in the country. In less than a decade, the solution from an assembly line in Detroit became the industrial standard for the entire world. When you drive a Phillips screw too hard and the screwdriver slips, that seems like a defect. It has a technical name, cam-out. In the 1930s and 40s, industrial power screwdrivers had no precise torque control. That slipping protected both the screw and the part being assembled, a limitation of the design that the industry learned to use to its advantage. There is one more detail that very few people know. When Japan adopted the cruciform screw after the war, it developed its own version of the standard, known as JIS. Visually, a Japanese JIS screw looks identical to a Phillips screw. You cannot tell them apart just by looking, but the internal angle of the channels is slightly different. A Phillips screwdriver does not seat completely in a JIS screw, which causes slipping. That is why your screwdriver slides out so easily when working on Japanese electronics, even when the fit looks perfect at first glance. Two screws that look the same. Two standards that do not agree. A detail that has frustrated people for decades without anyone explaining why. Today, the Phillips screw is in your furniture, your appliances, your computer, and your phone. And now you know what that name really represents. It is not the name of the inventor. It is the name of the negotiator. Thompson created. Phillips sold. The entire world calls it by the name of the one who sold it, not the one who created it. The Phillips screwdriver has been sitting in your drawer for years, but the name stamped on it does not belong to the person who created the cruciform drive. Thompson created the drive. Phillips created the market for it. And the entire world calls it by the name of the one who opened that market. If this video made you see a tool you have used for years in a different way, hit like and subscribe to Simple Things and Their Secrets. Thompson or Phillips? Leave your answer in the comments below. See you in the next